Hi, I'm Brad.
I'm Kim.
And we're 626 Ohana, California.
Today we're going to be talking about our experiences buying on the DC resale market. So we're going to share our opinions with you, what we went through. We are not by any means sponsored, but we will just share that we've bought both direct contracts and resale contracts. So please like, follow along, subscribe, and we'll enjoy the journey with you.
Yeah, and also let you know we are going to be doing another video coming up that's going to be talking about buying directly through Disney. So be on the lookout for that as well. Let's talk about what we got. So we did buy an Animal Kingdom contract at 160 points for $115 per point. Mm-hmm. Now, we did talk to Disney about buying through them, but you can buy resale contracts directly through Disney.
But it's considered direct.
Yes, and they wanted $170 per point. So in all, we saved a total of $8,800 buying resale, which is a fantastic savings.
Yay!
So you can keep the savings are really good if you do buy through resale.
In most cases, but go back and watch our last video about the pros and cons.
Yeah, absolutely, because that'll give you an idea of what the differences between buying direct are for what benefits you get and what you don't, and buying resale. So watch that, and I'll give you a better breakdown of what to expect there.
So why did we buy these extra points in this second resale market? Well, first of all, we did the resale market, like Brad said, to save the money, which is really great. The second reason was our other points we bought at the Poly, and those were allocated points every year. We knew what time of year we wanted to stay, how many nights, everything was already set. But then we came back and said, we wanted to have some flexibility. We wanted flexibility to maybe stay a few nights here at Disneyland Resort, at the Grand Californian, or we want flexibility to add a couple of nights if we want, or maybe bigger rooms, things like that. And it just gave us room and to do different things.
Yeah, it also gave us flexibility because we have Hayden all the time. A lot of times we're trying to run and try to do all the things with the family, but there's times that we've talked about we'd like to go to Food and Wine and at Epcot. And it'd be kind of nice to leave them with the grandparents maybe for a few days and take a little trip down to Epcot to do that. And so we just have some of our time to do some of the stuff that we love to do together.
And also we have the benefit of having another resort at the 11-month booking window instead of the 7-month booking window. So that's kind of a good deal. And Animal Kingdom Lodge is really nice from what we've seen. We're actually going to go stay there later this summer for the first time.
So we're real excited about that. And it's like I said, we've actually been to Animal Kingdom Lodge and we got to see all the cool things that go on there. So that's kind of a neat place.
Yeah, and we had dinner there and we've enjoyed it. So it's just something different and something that we thought we'd enjoy for a long time to come. But anyways, the most important thing is we started to look at contracts that were on the market and what was available for us to buy.
Yeah, so when we were researching these contracts, we did prior research before we bought our Poly to see if we were going to buy resale or direct through Disney. We ended up buying our Poly directly through Disney, but we had some research in the background of looking through different communities for Disney DVC communities that will give you an idea of where to look at, who to buy from, and everything that's been recommended is to go find a company that deals directly with deals with Disney, so that they are very aware of all the policy changes and everything else with Disney. And sometimes you get into situations where you can buy it directly from a realtor or a place that does timeshares, but they may not be up to date what's going on, and you just really need to have that up to date information.
And one of the things that we looked at when we were looking for a contract was use years. Our Poly contract was March, so that's what we wanted for Animal Kingdom Lodge. So a use year is every year what month those points are deposited into your account to use. So you want them to be the same so it doesn't get confusing and trying to figure out where you're at and what year, and it just simplifies things.
And this is only if you're buying a second contract. If you're buying a first contract, you're pretty much okay. You just have to be aware when those points come available.
So the other thing we wanted was what we considered a fully loaded contract. We bought in 2018. Well, we looked at the contracts in 2018 and going in almost into 2019 and then the future 2020. So when you're looking at those use year contracts, some of them had 0 points all the way up to 2020. And you're maybe paying the maintenance fees for 2019 and 20 to not be able to use anything. I wouldn't want to do that. but people do because they're not as high a price on the resale market.
Yeah, and sometimes they are. You'll actually see the prices be fairly similar. So you also be aware of that, and especially when you're doing it, because you don't want to buy a contract that you're paying the taxes, the fees from Disney for all the maintenance fees.
And upfront
for 2, and you're going to be paying this for 2 years for a contract you can't use for 2 years.
Yeah. Well, and maybe that's not always the case on every contract. Maybe it's the seller's is doing the maintenance fees on those years. You'd have to see what's written in a contract.
But that brings us to the other point is bargaining is what per point. And this is like any real estate transaction. So you can make an offer on what they're offering.
But going back to that, I wouldn't want to buy and be excited about something for Disney that I couldn't use for a few years out.
Yes.
Because, I don't know about you, but when I get my DVC points, I want to use them. And anyway, so the other thing is we're looking at is when we're talking about bargaining is we looked at a few different websites and kind of figured out, okay, what was the going price for the points that we had? And also we looked and saw what the first right of refusal was. So if we bargain, you can have the right to bargain. Like the contract that we looked at was $120 and we bargained down to $115. So with that being said, there's something called first right of refusal. And Disney can step in and say, no, we're not going to allow you to sell this to somebody else. We're going to buy it at that price. So we did some research. There's some DVC resell sites that have gone and looked at what Disney has bought back, and they kind of show you some data. And you don't want to go too low. So you've gone through all this, found the perfect contract for you, and then have Disney step in. Yeah,
and it's one of those things that you can look at that use those tools online that you can find, and also talk to the selling agent, and they may be able to give you a rough idea saying, well, that might be a little too low, or you may want to offer a little bit more. They'll give you if it's in the right range.
Right, and they'll say, we're starting to see maybe Disney stepping in at those prices, so you might want to go $1 or $2 up.
Yeah, and also be aware they are still trying to make a commission off of selling this, so that you kind of have to fill it out for yourself as well.
Yeah, but just because you see a price on what's for sale doesn't mean that that's the price you're going to pay. So that's the flexibility you have with buying resale versus direct. Because when you go directly to Disney, they're going to say this is a price. There's no flexibility,
and that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's just something when you're looking at those to be aware of.
And I love a good bargain.
Well, yeah, me too.
I kind of have fun with that, but. Okay, so we're going to talk to you about our first right of refusal research. We went to some companies and they had that data. We went back and looked historically through the last few months and saw what Disney stepped in at, what resorts they were more likely to buy back. So it kind of gave us some ideas. And at that time, Disney was stepping into Animal Kingdom Lodge a lot. So I was a little stressed.
Yeah, and you be aware, this is during the policy change that Disney did when they decided after, was it January 2019?
So in November was when Disney's date for us was their first right of refusal. And 2 months later, they came back in that January and decided to change the rules. So we just slid under.
Yeah, and the rule change, if you're not aware, is that if you bought anything from Copper Creek and below, that you can only stay at those original 14 resorts. You would not be able to stay at the new Riviera. And then the Riviera contracts are brand new, so they're not on the resale market, but when they do come on the resale market, that those contracts will end up being that you have to stay at the Riviera or above. Now,
and that's right now because, and that's what we're understanding because Disney does change things.
Yes, and
so maybe Riviera will come in and say only at Riviera. So we'll have to see what happens when Disney comes in.
So we got lucky with our contract points in that we bought it before the change, so we're grandfathered in that we can still use them at any of the Disney resorts. But also with resale, like we said in our other videos, that we lose the benefits of using it for Disney Cruise Lines and Adventures by Disney's and other
Moonlight Magic.
Other things like that. So we were aware of that when we bought these points that we would not be able to use it for that.
And we'll also quickly tell you to go back, watch our videos on the pros and cons of buying direct versus resell, and we did some math and numbers based on the perks of buying directly through Disney. So we put $1 price on Moonlight Magic and the savings in annual passes. So it may or may not work for you, but that's just another viewpoint that we want to share with you. So next I'm going to talk about our customer service experience. With Disney, it is always amazing. They're always so great about a lot of things. They do a lot of the footwork for you. When you go and work with these resale companies, sometimes you're working with 3 or 4 different companies, a title company, loan company, the resale company, Disney. And so it gets a little... It gets complicated. Not really complicated, but it's just more legwork, more paperwork, things like that you don't have with Disney.
Yeah, it's just a lot more moving parts to what's going on. So you have several different companies talking to each other. Then they also have to talk to for the title for the state of Florida. So you have a lot of moving parts into this, and it just sometimes when you're buying resale, what we found, communication can break down.
Yeah. So with that communication breakdown, our first thing was our first right of refusal. I will tell you right now that is extremely stressful. That's a step you only go through on a resale market. Disney has that 30 days to come in and say, no, we're going to buy the contract instead. And then you got to go back to square one and start over. And thankfully that didn't happen for us, but they have the 30 days to do that. And so at day 28, I ended up calling our resale company and kind of checking in, and I was stressed out. And so our agent had said, I hadn't heard anything back. Don't worry, they still have a few more days. This is normal. It's normal for us to get these stressed out phone calls. I was like, okay, fair enough. So later that day, it was a Monday, I decided to check my spam and my email. And sure enough, in there was a first right of refusal that Disney had passed on. But that email had been sitting in my account since Friday. So I wasn't really impressed. I mean, it was a little frustrating, I guess, that an agent that dealt with this every day didn't know that information when she should have.
Yeah, and again, it could have been just communication error. It may have been unique to us, but it's something to be aware of, that it is a lot of back and forth.
Right.
So you are doing a lot of different forms back and forth with different people. One thing is that we didn't say is that you sign everything at your home through computerized. So that makes it easier at that point. So you're not trying to, as Kim was trying to find an excuse to go to Florida and sign paperwork, baby.
Was I? I'm always looking for an excuse to go to Florida. But yes, I would have loved to have gone on a plane and signed a contract and maybe found a few Disney days. But they do make it convenient. You don't have to get it notarized, and everything was done very quickly. And luckily we found a seller who was as proactive as we were and wanted to close as quickly as we did.
And I think they're ready to sell at the point that our offer was within the bounds of what was out there and what was selling. So they accepted, I think they accepted the same day.
Oh, within a few hours.
Yeah, so we found out real quickly. That's not going to be the case all the time.
Right, and we got lucky with that one.
Yes.
So the other thing that was kind of different is we wanted to close on this real quick just because it was up to before the 7-month deadline for when we're booking our vacation, and we wanted to make sure that that maybe we'd still have some advantages before it was opened up to everybody else at that 7-month window. So the next thing was closing. The closing was, we were told we would find out in our email, we get everything, we could be able to go into Disney and get everything booked within like 24 hours. It's like, great, that's wonderful. We were going to be gone for family during the holidays, and we're like, okay, we can do this, and I could still call in a few days before that window opened up. Well, it turned out that I was calling every day to add in some of our poly points in to get this Animal Kingdom at the 7-month mark, and the end of our stay was still before that 11-month mark, and I was hoping to get that all worked out, but it didn't quite happen. So when we came home, we found out that sitting in our mailbox for like 3 or 4 days was already those closing documents, and I would have had all the information I needed to make the reservation with Disney one time instead of calling back and adding on a day at a time, it would have saved some sleep. It would have saved some stress, because if all of a sudden a middle of the day hadn't been available for what we wanted, it would have sent everything kind of in a tailspin. So as far as those, I also don't recommend you buying a contract at the last minute.
Yeah.
Before you want to book it, that 11-month window or coming up where it opens up to everybody else at the 7-month, because that made the process that much more stressful for at least me.
And it's one of those, it's kind of a catch. The problem is that you want to try to get these contracts, if you see a good deal and it's something you want to do, you want to get it as soon as possible, because you never know what Disney may change. But also you want to be not trying to push it so hard that you're trying to make a reservation with those points and wanting to do it, that you're going to miss your window. So, lesson learned.
Absolutely. But I think finally that just made us realize that we were, I mean, with all the everything we went through, had I not had that stress of I wanted to book everything quickly, it would have been a little bit different. So I think that was on us.
Yeah, and that was on us, is that we were just trying to get it done so we could do this. So it did add a little bit more stress than what should have been there.
So we are happy, extremely happy we saved all that kind of money. $8,800 is a lot of money, and we didn't buy the biggest contract.
No, and it was like I said, this was more of a contract for us to do different things that we would like to do, knowing that we may want to go to somewhere else. Also,
Alani, maybe.
Also, we were also looking at is that since we already bought direct for Disney, that we had the benefits there.
Yeah.
And so this for us was a no-brainer to go ahead and go on the resale market. It was a little bit more stressful than we thought it would be, and a little bit more work than we thought it would be. But in the end, it did have a significant savings. So all in all, I'm happy with that. As anything is, when you're buying these contracts, you need to sit down and do the math and figure out what you want for your vacations. Is it worth it for you? And go from there, and then make your decision from there. It's just one of those things that sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't, and so that's where we're at.
And we've even started to slowly talk about a third contract.
No, we haven't.
I'm still trying to convince somebody.
No.
Yeah, I know. But I don't know. If we come back and do a third contract, I think we would do Resell, because we already have that direct.
No.
Oh, you want to do direct through Disney and
No.
pay? Okay. Don't ever say no.
But all serious.
Who knows? You know, it's right now, we just bought the second contract. But I don't know, it's really hard because you keep wanting more and more points. I'm going to tell you, it gets addictive.
No. So with
I'll
that,
work on him. I'm lucky. What can I say? No, and maybe not so much a third, but it's just something we've contemplated. But saying that, I maybe have picked a different resale company to work with.
Yeah, and again, it's that you have to be comfortable with the companies. Okay, so with all that information, I think it's time for us to say bye and
Find your magic.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.